Making Minecraft videos broke my brain. It sounds a touch dramatic, I know, but just let me explain.
Oh shit, we like dropping bars.
So, I was a full-time YouTuber during the quote-unquote golden age of Minecraft content creators. I had the opportunity of working with some of the biggest creators at that time. Some of those names you will know, some you maybe won't because it was so long ago. But through all of that, I was able to achieve 150,000 subscribers between the years of 2012 to 2015. It seemed like things were going pretty good. But one day, I'd had enough. And I just kind of slowly slipped away into obscurity and was kind of forgotten about. But I'm here to say that not all that glitters is gold. You know, between the behind-the-scenes drama, the toxic communities, and the frivolous lawsuits that was going on back then, I'm here today because I want to share with you the 5 reasons why making Minecraft videos broke my brain. And more importantly though, I want to tell you how I turned it all around in case it can help anybody else out there. So, let me start with point 1. Inflated egos. So when I was a kid growing up, I was never particularly popular. I wasn't attractive necessarily. I mean, every girl I asked out said no, so make of that what you will. And I also didn't really have much wealth. So when you kind of have that upbringing and then you're suddenly flooded with a sudden influx of both the popularity, the money at the same time, all of this was a perfect recipe for disaster. And you know, like, I wasn't the only one that had an upbringing like that within the community. So many of the creators all kind of had a similar background where maybe they weren't the popular kid at school, maybe they got picked on, whatever it is. All I'm trying to say is that when you have that kind of upbringing and then the universe does like a 180 on you, I think it would be very hard for anybody to not let that get to their head and give themselves a inflated sense of self. And it definitely happened. It happened in myself. I can wholeheartedly admit that now looking back. And it definitely happened to many of the people around me. I'm thankful that I was at least able to kind of pull away from that space before I got too far into the deep end. But not everybody did. And I've seen some horror shows of just channels that just plummeted and they are living in awful situations now. And yeah, it's wild. Now, the second thing that really started to rattle my brain back then was resentment. And specifically, I'm meaning resenting my own audience. Yeah, what a dilemma, huh? So you're probably thinking, like, how could you resent the audience that, like, gave you this channel and gave you this cool-ass business opportunity? And, well, to be honest, I didn't. Like, all the time. Like, for the longest time, I loved my audience, and I loved getting the support. I loved being able to interact and seeing people's reactions. It was great. But over time, as I start to grow as a creator, I start to see different behaviors. I start to see parasocial behaviors. Basically, I start seeing a bunch of fucking weirdos. And I'm sorry if you were one of those weird kids growing up. It's cool, because so was I. I get it. But I was a little bit older at that point. And it really got to me between that and like creepy fanfics and creepy fan arts and the ships and all of this. It just got a little bit weird for me, and I didn't really like it. But what was I to do? Like, this was my audience. It was my job. I had to maintain the audience, to maintain the job, to keep living and pay the bills. Like, can you sort of see how even now we are already kind of getting to a point where it's like, yeah, there is a lot that you have to kind of deal with, huh? But the parasocial stuff, like, as weird as it was, wasn't actually the thing that I resented my audience the most for. The thing that I resented them the most for was when I started wanting to shift away from making Minecraft content and start doing more of what I wanted to do and what I enjoyed doing. And then I had the stark realization that nobody wanted to watch anything but Minecraft, and sometimes people would get really angry if I would upload something that wasn't what they wanted. And so you start getting all of these like really like intense demands. Sometimes you get some hate mail or whatever. And then by that point, you're just kind of stuck in a box and you're just pigeonholed into creating this one type of content forever and ever. Into the void we go. Now, in fairness, in hindsight, with my 12 extra years of wisdom, or however long it's been since then, I look back at that and think, no, there are definitely ways that I could have navigated that situation and pivoted my channel. But at the time, I was like 18 years old, and YouTube itself was a very new thing in terms of like a career option, like a career path. We were kind of some of the earliest content creators, you know, making a living out of it. And nowadays, there's so many like guardrails in place. You've got so much support from YouTube and the whole community. Whereas back then, we were kind of just figuring it all out as we went along, and you know, sometimes it worked really well and sometimes it got really, really messy. Which leads me perfectly into point number 3: toxic communities, or as I like to call them, raging assholes. So back then, a lot of the YouTubers got quite cliquey. You know, we all kind of had teams, or we would at least network with teams, and other teams would work with other teams, and all of this sort of stuff. But behind the scenes, there were so many, like, power dynamics at play. And, you know, like, I kind of get it in the sense that, like, this is a business, we're all trying to make money. But, I mean, all of us started to have fun. And somewhere along the way, we lost that, and it just became about the money. And so I never actually reached, you know, like millionaire status, but a lot of the people around me did. And unfortunately, most of those people were assholes. They weren't always assholes. YouTube made them that way. It goes back to that sense of inflated self, where it's like, oh, I'm a nobody. Oh, but now I'm a millionaire. And it's like, of course it's gonna go to some kid's head. Of course it is. Like, I get it. Doesn't stop it from being any less shitty when it was happening, though. And so this would manifest in, like, kind of various ways. You'd hear things through the grapevine of, like, oh, no, he's not recording with him anymore, and blah, 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 or he's kicked him out, or he's not living there, and you can't be friends with him, and all sorts of stuff, really. But it all kind of just boils down to power dynamics from the larger creators specifically. Not all of them. In fact, some of those creators I still speak with today. So I'm not trying to sit here and just like slag off everybody from during that time. And I'm not even going to name any names for the people that I am referring to, because like it's whatever, it was years ago. I'm just here to tell you my perspective, my experience, and yeah, I don't know, take it or leave it. And then within these power dynamics and, you know, manipulations, then the lies start coming out, right? I mean, I remember there was huge dramas about like lawsuits and stuff like that, and ex-cases and ex-felons, and some of it was true, but most of it was bullshit, or it was like a really egregious stretch of the truth, and that ruined many people's lives. And for the longest time, I felt like it ruined my life, being kind of outcasted and lied about and manipulated and kind of just pushed out of this space, right? This like space that like I tried so hard to carve for myself, just to have it kind of all swept away by just assholes in the community. But you know, they say it takes two to tango, and I certainly played my part too. Which is why point number 4 is toxicity in myself. So when I first started doing YouTube, it really was just like a fun little hobby. It was something that I really enjoyed doing. I loved playing games all my life. I cannot shut the fuck up talking. So it just kind of seemed like a natural fit. Like, yeah, let's just make some videos. And it took off after a little while. I was over the moon. I couldn't believe it. I was on cloud 9. I was getting to go to conventions. I was doing meet and greets. I was signing some girls. It was great. But then, over time, all of these things start racking up, right? The ego, the resentment, the toxicity in the community, and the longer you keep yourself surrounded by that, the more you will become it. It's like they say, one bad apple rottens the whole bunch. It's literally just that. So I was very ingratiated in this community at one point in my life, to the point where I was actually staying in like one of those YouTube team houses. Yeah, that was great for a while. But then again, all the toxicity starts coming out and it just kind of ruins it all. But the worst part was that it ruined me, because then I started being the toxic asshole too. And whilst I never went as far as some of the people that I'm referring to, I can absolutely see how I could have done had I not stopped making Minecraft videos, or just videos in general. If I had just stayed in that lane and just kept getting the popularity and the wealth, yeah, I don't think I would have ever came back down. Definitely made some mistakes myself, some bigger than others. The worst thing was that it started causing me to lie, and I really do not like lying. It's just one of those things that just always makes me really anxious, probably because I used to be a bad liar when I was a little kid, and I'd always get caught out, and then I get into trouble trouble. And so all my life, I've really had like almost like an aversion to lying. And so when I started catching myself doing that shit, and then like, I was like cheating on my partner at the time, I was abusing all sorts of substances and all sorts of like little lies, or like not even little lies, but like that's how I justified it to myself at the time somehow. And yeah, it completely compromised like my own personal moral code. And that was kind of like the realization, like, shit, like I need to leave. And I did. I just basically took everything down and fucked off and didn't really say anything. And over the years, people have wondered sometimes, where is he? Why did you take the videos down? Well, here I am. I was spending the last 12 years growing up. One thing that I am thankful for is that I've actually been able to get in touch with some of the people from back in those days and actually, you know, make amends with them and apologize to the people that, you know, I did abuse their trust, or, you know, like their friendship or their relationship, whoever it was. And that's really nice. There's still people, though, that I haven't had that opportunity with, and I mean, I doubt that they're watching this video, but all I can say is that, you know, if you're one of them, you know who you are, and I wholeheartedly apologize and can only hope the best for us all going forward. Looking back at it, really it does just all seem like a massive case of young, dumb, and having way too much fun, with way too much money thrown into the mix than any group of teenagers has any right to have. And so by now you might be thinking like, oh well, great, you know, you pulled yourself out of it and you worked on yourself over the years. And while that is true, this final point is the thing that really kicked me down. And I honestly spent a better part of a decade working on this, and in a lot of ways I'm still working on this, even today. And that is having unrealistic views on life. So let me explain exactly what I mean by that. So, you already have the context, you know, I wasn't a very popular kid growing up, didn't have that much money, wasn't that attractive, and then all of a sudden, I had the money, I had some level of attraction, at least to other people, and I had the popularity. So I was like, oh cool, I like checked off all of those boxes from school, haha. But that was my first real, like, long-term, full-time job. Like, before I did YouTube, the only jobs I had was like, I did a paper round for a little while, and I washed some dishes for a while. And that was it. So YouTube was basically my first real job, and it was my first full-time job. And that really kind of like messed with me, because I felt like this was gonna last forever. I thought I'd be a YouTuber forever, and I'd be rich one day and have a house of my own, and it would just all be gravy, and wouldn't have to worry, and it was all fine. But that's not how life goes. It's absolutely not how life goes. You cannot expect success like that. You can't expect to just be given these opportunities, you know? Most people will never get the opportunities that I had in their entire lives. Yet I was looking at my YouTube channel as something like, I made this, I earned this, it is mine, and therefore it shall be. It's almost like this sense of like, I almost deserve this, right? Because like, I did work hard for it, and you know, I put in a lot of effort, but I didn't deserve it, like, any better than Tom down the road, or Larry and Harry, like, whoever. Like, I was just another fucking kid putting stupid videos on the internet, and I was lucky. And yes, I put some effort into that, and there was some level of skill involved, but it was mostly the luck part that actually, you know, propelled everything. And so, yeah, it was a very unrealistic view to think that that would be my life forever. But that was the view that I had, and that made it really difficult to return to quote-unquote normal life. Like, I still remember, like, when I got my first bar job after I stopped doing YouTube, and I was just miserable, because I would sit there thinking to myself, like, how the fuck am I here? Like, I was just flying over to America, I was doing all these conventions, making videos, getting paid from home, and now I'm working minimum wage in some shitty dive bar. Like, what happened? What went wrong? And then you get, like, the shame spiral of, like, oh, it's my fault, I fucked up, because I did fuck up in some ways, but also other people did too. I did get kind of pushed out in some ways. But yeah, it created this whole, like, spiral of just, like, shame and regret and sorrow all wrapped up into one. And yeah, it was just really hard to adapt. And going through all of that and through the outcasting that was happening, I lost touch with like 99% of the friends that I made along the way. People who I thought were my friends, when really they were just business acquaintances. But I guess we kind of blended the lines between, well, what's friends and what's business, because I thought we were all friends, but I don't think we really were. But I didn't know that at the time. I was young and having fun, and I just thought everybody else was thinking like me. And so there you have my top 5 main reasons for why making Minecraft videos broke my brain. But don't forget, we got one more point to go, because we can't end on a downer. Now I gotta tell you how I turned it all around. No, I'm not gonna lie, like, it wasn't easy, and it still isn't easy. Every day is literally a constant struggle. Some days I even struggle just to get out of bed. Thankfully though, that's not so much to do with the YouTube stuff anymore, that's to do with fun new stuff, yeah. But being serious, like, the thing that really kinda helped was just pulling away and just finding space for myself outside of these communities. And so for a while, like, it was messy and it was rough, and you know, there was a lot of substance abuse and alcohol involved and whatnot, but you know, I kind of just kept it in mind that I didn't want to be like that, and I just kind of took it one day at a time and just every day just strive to be better, but without tipping into perfectionism or that shame spiral, just trying to be a good person. And it was finding new hobbies as well that really helped. So I started dabbling in music production and audio engineering, and then that led me to going to university to study music production. Then I met a girlfriend and we got engaged, and then we broke up, and then I got with somebody else, and now I'm with somebody else. And all of this to say that if you just keep going one day at a time, life's gonna give you new problems. It never stops. It will never stop. But you can at least learn something, you can take something away from it all, and hopefully end up in a better place than you were. For me, lately, that's been practicing Buddhism. I did start going to one of the temples nearby me and started reading about it. And look, like, I'm not a monastic, I'm not a monk, you know, like, I'm not perfect, and I'm never gonna allude to be. And I'm never even gonna try to be perfect, because, like, it's an impossible goal. But I just found that, you know, the teachings there really resonated with my own personal moral code. Just reading more about it, and I'm just like, oh, this kind of, you know, clicks with what I think and feel. I'm not saying that I am a Buddhist, because I feel like that would almost be an insult to the religion, but I do also take it very seriously, and, you know, I do strive to live by a lot of those ideals, and that's just what helped me. I'm not saying that that's gonna be the thing that helps you. Could be anything. My point here is just find things to do, new things that get you out of your space, and whatever problems you're going through now, I promise you, if you can just survive, like, that's all you gotta do, just survive each day. You can do that. Might take a year, might take 3, in my case it took 10, but here I am, making a video once again.
Oh shit, we like dropping bars.
Thank you all so much for watching my first video back on YouTube as my grand return. If you enjoyed the video and you would like to see more, you know what to do. Hit that like, click the subscribe, and I shall see y'all later.